Hello there, I'm Jess, and I want to take you along on my first week in over 2 years as a full-time artist. A little bit about me: I am based in Austin, Texas. I work out of my home studio with my cat Pierre. I have been a professional artist for the last 7 years, but during the pandemic, I decided that I just needed a little break. So I've spent the last 2 years splitting my time between art and directing a nonprofit, and I decided this fall that it was time to get back to my life as a full-time artist. This is the first Monday of freedom. And what better way to spend it than creating my dream studio? Just a space to work that is fresh and inspiring. And I have been working in this space for 7 years. It has gone through many iterations. The latest one was that it was kind of like an empty, very large painting gallery type space. And I am just craving something new. One thing is that I wanted a desk space to do more sitting down and a little bit more of the planning and figurative work. And another is that I have all of these beautiful art supplies that are kind of scattered all around my house. And I just wanted a centralized, organized, beautiful, functional space so I could use more of them. So I have 2 men in my life, well actually 3, including Pierre. But this one is Teddy, my partner, Russell's dog, Dutch Shepherd, and we are just taking a little walk, which is actually pretty rare, but Ted and Russell were off today. Tuesday morning, and the first thing that I want to do is to try out this new desk. I actually got some tempered glass for the top to protect the wood. I built this out of 3 really beautiful butcher's blocks, and I just can't quite bear to get paint all over them yet. I've seen a couple of other artists work on this tempered glass, and I thought that it was really cool and really nice, and you can even do fun stuff like put oil paints on it and scrape paint off of it and all of that. So we're gonna give it a whirl, and this morning I'm just going to do a quick watercolor warm-up that I do relatively often, and that is just painting a simple palm leaf. The reason why I find this warm-up to be so helpful is because it is really repetitive, and you can learn how to trust the stroke really well because the stakes are really low. You're just kind of doing the same thing over and over. But there's a lot of variety that you can get in the colors, and it's good for learning how to blend colors and get shadow and stuff like that. Continuing with the dream studio build, I feel like every studio needs the perfect shelves. And of course, I decided to build the perfect shelves because I couldn't find exactly what I wanted in the right size. And also, it is a lot cheaper to build shelves. However, let it be known that I do not exactly know what I'm doing when it comes to building things. I am such a person who just dives right in and figures it out as I go. So although it looks like this is just an easy and quick project, this ended up taking about 3 hours, and I was so wiped out by the end of it. The theme of this season for me, going back to life as a full-time artist, is falling in love with my art practice again. That was a huge reason why I felt like I wanted to take a break. I just needed a little bit of a space because art was really starting to feel like work, and it was work. So in coming back, I feel this really beautiful sense of renewal and inspiration, and I really want to cultivate the space in my practice and in my day to let that grow and take root a little bit. So one of the things that I'm doing are morning sketches, and this is basically me sketching whatever my heart desires in the morning. Another thing that I find very inspiring in my art practice and haven't done in a really long time is to make these little videos about my art. So I am trying out TikTok. It's crazy, I know, but I have kind of been lurking on there in the background and just watching other artists and also finding things that I find inspiring, and I'm kind of enjoying it. So I thought, oh, TikTok could be a perfect place where I just share my experiments and my sketchbook in a way. And after I drew the koi this morning, I thought, you know what? This is a great first TikTok. Let's just make this into a short and see what happens. So if you guys are on TikTok and you have experiences there as an artist, I would love to hear them, and say hi. My handle is @StudioJess. Today I am taking an outing to my producer and distributor of my art, Four Hands Art Studio, and I am picking up some original pieces that I dropped off there for reproduction and framing. Actually, these were the pieces that were in the very beginning of my video. This was the latest Summer 23 series that I did. And I usually end up getting my pieces framed there at Four Hands because I actually find that buyers really like having pieces framed, and they do a really beautiful job. Another theme of this season of art making, in addition to falling in love with art and very much related, is finding balance in my day. I am a little bit of a workaholic, and I tend to just kind of go hard on whatever I'm doing at the time and have this intense focus. And I have noticed that that is actually not even extremely productive. It is way better on my body and my mind and my being and everyone who's around me if I have a little bit more space, which gives me more perspective on each thing that I'm doing. So in the spirit of that, since I did not do a morning sketch, I am going to take the afternoon and have an afternoon sketching session. I'm using these FABER-CASTELL PITT pastels to sketch with, and a beautiful story about these is they were actually given to me by my Zen teacher, Mako, who just moved to San Francisco, and I just absolutely love using art supplies that have been used by other people. There is a magic there that I cannot explain. And I have been loving the PITT pastels so much. They're this sort of perfect blend between a colored pencil and a pastel, and they are also blendable, and they give this really saturated color, and they make a sound that is so satisfying to me. The theme of this Friday is putting stuff back into the studio. And the first thing that I'm doing, weirdly, is actually taking a substantial amount of time to sharpen and organize my colored pencils. And the reason for this is I find these kind of tasks very cathartic, number one. Number two, almost every artist studio that I look at that I find really inspiring has these jars of colored pencils in the background, and I just wanted to recreate them. They're such a pretty little touch, and I am someone who pretty much lives for beauty. Beauty is my driving force. It's where my inspiration comes from. And creating a beautiful space is really inspiring to me. It actually affects my work a lot. Now that I have my jars of freshly sharpened pencils, I am going to start filling in the rest of the space, and I am giving myself enough time to do this. I have no expectation that I'm going to do this in a day. I feel like with a studio, you kind of have to live in it and work in it before you really know where everything should go. So for today, I'm just kind of focusing on creating this beautiful little corner. As for the things that I like to have around in my studio, it's kind of a mix of functional, beautiful, old, and new. And then, of course, the other really important thing is plants. I love plants. Surprise, surprise. But there's something about having living things that you have to take care of in a space that for me also brings life into it. We are at a stopping point for this video, so I am really excited to continue to fill in this space and to work in this space, and I am also going to create a separate video totally dedicated to the studio makeover. So it was really wonderful sharing my first week as a full-time artist, and until we meet again,